What hobby in men gives you green flag vibes? OP is about to use every green light to post to lie his way into a girl's heart. Copy, paste, pussycat. Gardening and caring for pets or small animals. Weird reptile guy who has a weed grow up in his fridge. All right. My husband's hobby is making firewood. The entire process is his jam. Cutting down deadfall, bucking it up, carting it home, splitting it, stacking it, showing off immense wood piles to anyone who will listen, burning it. It's cheap and actually saves us like $1 a month on heating. I knew someone in college whose hobby was restoring old books, like classics he found in a Goodwill or that had been handed down and were well loved. He would repair the glue, trim down the weathered edges of the pages, etc. My mind was blown, and to this day, I wish I had talked to him more about it. Edit. Apparently this is the red flag of a murderer, and I'm out of the loop. So guess you'll see me in the news after being abducted by a stalker who likes books? Any hobby that a man isn't ashamed to do because it isn't manly. For example, my husband is a very burly, hands-on manly man, but every night he sits down and makes quilts with me. He even has made a few of his own. My girlfriend says it's a green flag that I support mediocre sports teams and have fun watching them even when they lose, which is pretty often. Having plants that are actually well cared for. The comments about hobbies in men giving green flag vibes are interesting and diverse. It's cool to see the variety of hobbies that people mentioned, from gardening to restoring old books to making quilts. It's also amusing to see the comments about the weird reptile guy and the person with the immense wood piles. I wonder what makes these hobbies so attractive or appealing to others. What is it about these hobbies that make them stand out as positive traits in a man? Are they seen as signs of responsibility, creativity, or nurturing qualities? And how do these hobbies impact relationships or the image of masculinity? Can you think of a hobby that you personally find appealing or that you think sends positive signals about a person? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's move right into our next Reddit post. What is a severely overrated experience? New Year's Eve in Times Square. Actually, going out at all on NYE is overrated. Spend thousands of dollars on a wedding for one day. No wonder the wedding industry makes billions every year. A big, splashy surprise engagement is often overrated. I say often because I know some people like them. I've had several friends and family members with huge pop the question in front of everyone moments, and nearly all regretted it. I know it's not for everyone, but my husband and I decided to buy the ring together and opted for a really romantic dinner and night out. Totally alone. We told everyone about it after. It was so special, and I'd recommend a quiet, intimate engagement to anyone looking to maximize that memory. Getting drunk every weekend only to wake up regretting it in the morning and then doing that over and over again. First time having sex. Maybe my expectations were too high, but it was very underwhelming. Parade, particularly as a short man. Strip clubs. I went to one of the best ones in Vegas, and my bro paid for a lap dance for me. Beautiful performer, wonderful girl. She grinded on my lap and actually asked me, am I doing something wrong? I don't get hard in situations like that. It's just not my thing. She was awesome. I refrained from telling her my life story. A submarine ride to see the Titanic. The comments range from disappointing experiences like overrated New Year's Eve celebrations to big, flashy surprise engagements that often don't live up to the hype. There's also the mention of strip clubs being underwhelming for one person and the underwhelming experience of a submarine ride to see the Titanic. Wow, I totally get it. I mean, New Year's Eve in Times Square always looks so exciting on TV, but when you think about the crowds, the cold, and the lack of bathrooms, it's probably not as fun as it seems. And the whole surprise engagement thing, I can see why a quiet, intimate moment would be so much more meaningful. I don't think I would like the pressure of a big proposal in front of a crowd either. Have you ever had an overrated experience like these? How did it turn out? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's move right into our next Reddit post. Which movie has the best ending of all time? Imagine seeing the ending to Planet of the Apes in a theater in 1967. Oh my God, I was wrong. It was Earth all along. The Princess Bride. Graham, maybe you can come over and read it again to me tomorrow, as you wish. The Usual Suspects, and just like that, poof, he's gone. Many a movie nowadays leaves me ecstatic that it has finally ended, and it's for the best. But Hopkins at the end of Silence of the Lambs was pretty darn cool. Clue, all the endings? This is an exciting and interesting topic. Oh man, the ending to Planet of the Apes in a theater in 1967 must have been mind-blowing. And The Princess Bride with that heartwarming final exchange between the grandson and the grandfather. So touching. And don't even get me started on The Usual Suspects. That twist with Kaiser Soze was legendary. And Clue, with all the different endings. What a fun and unique concept. Have you ever watched a movie with an ending that completely caught you off guard? What made it so memorable for you? And do you have a favorite movie ending of all time that you always love to revisit? Let's chat about our favorite movie endings. Let me know in the comments down below, and let's move right into our next Reddit post. Flyers who always choose window seat and then keep the window closed the entire flight. Why? I'm an aisle guy, and even I can tell you it has nothing to do with the window and everything to do with the wall. Yep, I fall asleep on planes before we're down the runway and can go through 5 hours without using the bathroom. The wall makes all the difference. No one crawling over me on the flight, handy when it comes to naps. 2, I can shut the shade and control at least some of the daylight shining in my eyes, handy when it comes to naps. 3, I can lean my head against the wall, handy when it comes to naps. The window seat isn't always about the window. It's about having someone to one side of you while not getting bumped into because of the aisle. It also gives a wall to lean against. When I doze off on a flight, I tend to lean to the side. It is better if I do so to the plane than a stranger. So they can keep the window closed the entire flight. If I opened it, it'd be uncomfortably windy, and the other passengers would freak out. I want it dark, and I don't want to sit next to someone who keeps the window open. This is an interesting and relatable topic. It's funny how people always assume those who pick the window seat are doing so to gaze out at the clouds and scenery. But as we can see from these comments, it's often more about practical considerations, like having a wall to lean on or controlling the light for naps. And let's not forget the fear of being bumped by aisle passengers or having to deal with a draft if the window is open. It's all about comfort and convenience. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Are you team window seat or team aisle seat? And what's your main reason for choosing one over the other? Do you have any funny or frustrating experiences related to this topic while traveling? Share your airport and airplane adventures with me. Let me know in the comments down below, and let's move right into our next Reddit post. What is the best treasure you've ever found at a thrift store, garage sale, flea market, etc.? At a small thrift store, I found a floor-length black velvet, real velvet, not velveteen, vintage Oscar de la Renta gown in perfect condition and miraculously in my size for $10. And as if that wasn't enough, a few minutes later, found a brand new pair of Yves Saint Laurent black satin pumps with original tags, $400, for a measly $2. I wasn't a designer glam gal and had no reason to own these as I had no need for them. I socialized in a much lower tax bracket. 2 weeks later, I was hired at a job that required me to host a celebrity-packed fundraising gala, where these thrift store finds served me very well. Wow, thank you all so much for all this love. I wish I still had the pics from that grand night, and that I still lived near that store. Mostly, I wish I could tell you all that happened at the gala. It was some night. My family went to the county fair, and my youngest son took along his favorite little toy, a stuffed duck with feet, where he put his fingers and walked along on things, making happy quacking noises. As is tradition, toys brought on outings get lost. He was sad, but at least it wasn't his favorite lovey, a stuffed sea otter. A year later, we stopped at a thrift store to look for school clothes, and he found the same toy hanging up. so of course it came home with us. Upon opening the baggie, he found his initials on the tag on the toy, where I had put them a couple of years ago. It was the same toy. A brand new, high-quality suede coat for $20. What made it a real treasure is that it's somehow my dream jacket, the one I've designed 100 times in my head and thought I'd never have because leather goods are so expensive. It's the exact shade, weight, and shape that I pictured 1,000 times, but it's also a design that isn't common for leather jackets. I always figured to get one cut like that fit me so well, I'd probably have to order it custom. I dreamed of that jacket long enough that I even knew it would cost me about $600 to have one made. But then one day, I was picking up some work pants at the thrift store, and it was right there. I wasn't even looking at the coats, but someone had pulled it out and draped it over the rack. Not 2 months prior, my car had been stolen with both my jackets inside, so I didn't have a coat at all, and wasn't sure how I'd be able to afford to buy one when it got cold again. I have worn that coat every day, from September to May, ever since. It's one of my most prized possessions. I found a painting at a garage sale that I thought was beautiful, but had no idea what it was, but it just struck me. I paid $15, and it came in a gorgeous frame. When I got it home, I did some research through art people in our area. I found out it's worth almost $4. Great score. My greatest regret in life is not buying the taxidermy frogs playing basketball with one doing a slam dunk. I regret not buying it nearly every time I go to the thrift shop, hoping I'll see it again. Truly heartbreaking. Several years ago, I was walking around the neighborhood late Saturday afternoon. It was garage sale weekend, but I didn't look too closely at the sales because I was broke. I was just walking to get some exercise, clear my head, and maybe cheer myself up. When I was just a few blocks from returning home, I found a $20 bill on the sidewalk. I looked around, but there was nobody. It wasn't even in front of a home with a sale going on. Now, I was cheered up, and I stopped in at the last garage sale with my $20. It was an older couple, and they were already moving things inside, closing up shop. I browsed around and just asked, "You wouldn't have any vinyl records for sale, would you?" They looked at one another, shrugged, and led me into the house. Upstairs, in what was clearly their son's old bedroom, they pulled a box of records out of the closet. I got the distinct feeling he had died. I didn't ask, but his room looked like a shrine to the late 1980s. I paid $20 for the whole box and carried it home. That thing was an absolute goldmine of punk albums, including an original pressing of The Germs' GI, signed by Pat Smear, an original of Operation Ivy's Energy, Green Day's 39 Smooth and Kerplunk, plus a few other Lookout Records releases, and more. I sold the GI album alone for $600, and I regret it. I paid $1 for a box of books. One was A Child's History of the Confederacy by D.H. Hill. I graduated from NC State, and our library was the D.H. Hill Library. I took the book to the library the next time I was in Raleigh and asked if they were interested in acquiring it. The director of acquisitions asked what I wanted for it. I said I was happy to donate it, just send me a contribution receipt. A few weeks later, I got a nice letter thanking me for my contribution of $1,000. I paid $1 for a necklace at a sidewalk sale on my way to work. I thought it was an amazing steal as it looked like cherry amber Bakelite. Then I got to work, a vintage store, and the picker who sold us things said, "Nice necklace, I'll give you $3 for it," which I thought meant $3. Then he said, "Okay, $300, and I was of course surprised. Turns out it is actual cherry amber, not Bakelite, and worth more like $600. I bought an unused 6-quart KitchenAid mixer with all the attachments at a garage sale for $20, retails for $400. I then gave it to my sister as an early birthday present. She bakes cakes and cookies for parties as a side gig and was hand mixing everything beforehand. She was ecstatic. This is gonna seem silly, but I still love it. So, my mom and I had been at the mall and I found this gorgeous rainbow scarf at the Gap. However, it was $50 and I wasn't willing to spend that, so I didn't buy it. Cut to about 2 months later and my mom and I were at the Goodwill. Lo and behold, there is the scarf. It's in perfect condition and was only $15.99. I, of course, bought it. I've had it for 8 years now, and it's still in perfect condition, and I wear it every time it's cold. Granted, where I live, that means about 3 months a year, so maybe that's why it's still in perfect condition. Still my favorite find. This is so exciting. I can't believe the amazing finds these people discovered at thrift stores, garage sales, and flea markets. From a vintage Oscar de la Renta gown for $10 to a 6-quart KitchenAid mixer with all the attachments for $20, these are some incredible bargains. It's so cool to see how these finds ended up being exactly what each person needed, from a dream suede coat to a beloved lost toy found a year later. It really makes you want to go thrifting and see what kind of treasures are waiting to be found out there. Have you ever found something at a garage sale or thrift store that ended up being a real treasure to you? If so, what was it? Well, that's another episode of Ask Reddit in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.